Kagurabachi is a manga made by Takeru Hakazono, where we follow a young boy named Chihiro Rikuhira, the son of super famous swordsmith Kunishige Rikuhira. The two are found by an underworld gang who kills Kunishige and steals his super famous 6 swords. And that sets Chihiro on a mission armed with the super secret 7th blade to take revenge on the culprits and take back all the other 6 blades. And I think it would be fun to follow Chihiro on his vengeful journey and see how long his trail of blood extends. Chapter 1 starts off with an introduction into the process of swordsmithing, where we are introduced to Chihiro and Kunishige, and we come to find out that Kunishige is kind of simple when it comes to anything but swordsmithing, because he bought these goldfish from somebody who told him they were considered lucky. Later on, Chihiro and his dad talk about the weight of that comes with sword making, and if Chihiro is really ready for it. Chihiro loves his pop, so he's like, for sure. We jump to 38 months later, and we see these group of thugs executing some people. Then we jump to an older Chihiro who's brandishing a pretty fine scar and meet a new guy. Well, he's not really new. We saw him before, but he deserves an introduction now. Anyway, the guy's name is Mr. Shiba, who's actually a longtime friend of Kunishige. Mr. Shiba is joining Chihiro on his journey, and it's just like, we heal that scar. And in the next set of panels, we get the famous line from Chihiro explaining why he doesn't want to heal his scar. So every day, I start the morning with fresh hatred. And I gotta say, I don't think this line is supposed to be seen as an edgy line. Matter of fact, I think this line is pretty obviously used as a starting point to Chihiro's character journey. Even Mr. Shiba makes a face and says that Chihiro can't keep living like this. Anyways, getting off the train, Shiba and Chihiro come across the bodies of the guys who were executed. Chihiro asks Shiba if he knows where the base of the guys who did this are at, and if he can take them there. From there, we get our first set of kills. One, where a blade is thrown slicing this guy's neck. It looks like Shiba is the one who threw it, but it's actually revealed to be Chihiro, who comes flying down and takes down the 3 remaining other guys. And then Chihiro walks into the building, slicing down one guy, cutting up another 2. And from here, we learn that the swords Kunishige created are actually special enchanted blades. And Chihiro wields a blade named Enten. From there, we see one of Enten's abilities, Black, or Kuro, which releases a flying black slash that kills... Okay. This is a mess. Like, this panel is well made, but dude, the way most of these bodies are behind one another is just messy for me to count. But yet, I persist. So what I had to do was count the legs. But the legs are arguably even worse because all their pants are black. So they sort of blend in with each other. But I can actually see them, so that's all I really got to help me. And seeing as this slash cuts clean through the entire cloud, we can assume that everyone here dies. So I count at least 42 killed here. Finally, moving on from that, we got... Okay, dude. So this panel here looks like the back of the way of the people who were cut in half. So I'm going to count those guys. So I'm not going to count those guys falling, but I will count the one guy he cuts here. And the 11 others he gets in this panel. And this one is even worse for me because there is nothing to count but some faces here. Listen, I can't tell whether or not these are the same people. I think they are, so I'm not going to count them. So we finally can close out this massacre by Chihiro teasing us with a new ability of Enten. And yeah, it looks like he's going for more kills, but you can't really count what you can't see. So... Chapter 2 starts off with Shiba releasing the one civilian that was spared from execution, and Chihiro interrogating the one thug he left alive. But as soon as he is about to get some information, the guy explodes with deadly tendrils, and you know what? I'm going to count him because A, Chihiro is most likely going to kill him after he got the information, and B, he technically gets him killed by holding him at sword point and questioning about the Hishaku. And oh yeah, the Hishaku are the main group of baddies who are responsible for killing Chihiro's father. Chapter 3, we're introduced to Hino, and she's like the information girl who's helping Shiba and Chihiro find out more about Hishaku. More importantly, we're introduced to Char, this cool, silly little dudette, who comes into Hino's place saying she needs protection and says someone with a strong sword is coming after her. So Hino is like, that must be an enchanted blade, and calls over Chihiro and Shiba. When the two get there, they are doubtful about how reliable Char's story is. And it doesn't help how Char literally gives 0 information and then is like, want to buy me food? And then I'll probably not talk. And since Chihiro is actually a good guy, he's like, okay. While eating, Char just gives some information that matches the 6 blades. So Chihiro's like, okay, you know a little something. Interrupting their meal and combo. A guy kills a chef and says invincible. Then spawns Daruma that explodes the restaurant and apprehends Char. Chapter 4 is a battle between swordsman and sorcerer. Shiba actually comes in and saves Char with his teleportation ability, which we actually first see when he saved that one civilian from the exploding tendrils. So we knew Shiba was a sorcerer, but in this chapter, he explains sorcery. And basically everyone can learn it because everyone has spirit energy, but you just have to work pretty hard to manifest it. Then goes on to say how Chihiro isn't exactly a sorcerer because the enchanted blade actually amplifies the spirit energy in you and takes shape, which is why we see like goldfish every time Chihiro uses his ability. Now that we know the difference between sorcerer and swordsman, we can start the fight, which Chihiro decides to use the fight as a way to question the Doraemon guy, whose name is actually Norisaku, about the enchanted blade. And Norisaku uses the fight as a way to shit-talk a child. And Chihiro also realizes how weird that is, and he's just like, alright, let's wrap this up. So he shows off a new ability of Inten, Aka, or Red, which uses to block an explosion, but Red also absorbs and stores an attack, so he releases the explosion back at Norisaku. Ending the chapter, we learn the name of one of the enchanted blades, Cloud Gouger. Chapter 5 is where we get a look at Sojo, but Chapter 6 is where we really need to look because we get some new kills in the form of sorcerers this time, who are actually after a bounty put on Chihiro's head by Sojo. One who is able to create clones from dirt, and the other who can uproot trauma from a touch. The first one who is killed is the trauma sorcerer, and shortly after is the clone guy adding to the account. Even in Chapter 7, the party isn't over, because like 3 other dudes come out, with black-haired Sanji, Azami, appears and is just like, twin, I got you, and swiftly takes down 2 dudes. But this is Chihiro's kill count, so I won't speculate whether or not he kills those 2. But one's just like, you got that big bro, and dips, because he's part of the Kamunabi, who work for the government. And it goes on to basically talk about the next arc, the Rakuzaichi, which all you need to know is a large auction and tells Chihiro his bounty is a race and he should probably stay out of it now. But it's Chihiro, so he's like, okay, so you know he's going to stay in it. Chapter 8, we have Norisaku basically turning over a new leaf and tells his sister how he genuinely wants to be a better person. But Sojo uses that moment to give us a taste of how cold-blooded he is, because when Norisaku enters a car, he sees his bloody sister. And Sojo goes on to explain how he also killed his mom as well. Sojo also gives us a taste of the Cloud Gouger because just as Norisaku was about to explode, Sojo freezes him and leaves the car and reveals how he didn't actually finish off Norisaku. And as Norisaku unfreezes, he blows up, kills himself and his sister. So Sojo goes to meet up with the brother of the trauma sorcerer to get information about Chihiro because the brother was actually there. But apparently killing Norisaku and the family wasn't enough of a warm-up. So he goes to kill the trauma sorcerer's brother, but the brother has the same sorcery and causes a small flashback like it's literally one panel, but just like Chihiro, this doesn't actually stop Sojo. After that, Sojo walks into Hino's place and spots Chihiro, and immediately it's on sight. Chapter 9, the Battle of 2 Enchanted Blades begin, and Sojo uses the moment to profess his love for Kunishigi Rukihiro. And Chihiro is taken aback because imagine if you're fighting someone and they're just like, Father, what a man. But yeah, Sojo has this philosophy that these enchanted blades were meant to slaughter. So he goes to release a Mei on some civilians, which is one of the abilities of Cloud Gouger, which can release a strong surge of lightning. And he also used another ability before, Yui, which releases ice. Going back to the Mei that Sojo is about to release, Chihiro actually releases a lightning stored from a Aka and becomes a lightning rod that takes the damage for the civilians. Ending the chapter, we see Chihiro edging us again with Nishiki, but starting chapter 10, we learn about Nishiki, meaning brocade, which is basically a fabric with gold and silver, so it spawns a golden multicolored goldfish, and it's something of a power-up that enhances the user by cloaking them. And before the second round can actually begin, Chihiro and Sojo exchange a few words that reveal to Sojo that Chihiro is the son of Kunishigi, but ending the battle abruptly, we see Char has been taken, and as Chihiro goes to get back Char, we see 2 more kills, and later on, we get another one. But the thing is, that isn't Char. It's Char's severed leg, which they use to trick Chihiro as the actual Char is taken. Meanwhile, Sojo is seen escaping from these lead dudes with Azami and Shiba and hitches a ride in the car that actually has Char. From there, we see that she can actually grow her limbs, so it makes it pretty obvious why these evil groups want her. Chapter 11, we get some backstory into the creation of the enchanted blades, how they're made of material named Tensky, and how this Tensky multiplies spirit energy, and the spirit energy is so strong that if someone were to touch it, they would explode from within. But Kunishigi was the only person who was ever able to wield that power, when whoever Sojo is working for has possession of the Tensky and is working to control it, and they're going to use Char to figure that out. Learning that information, Chihiro wants to bust in there and fuck that shit up. From there, we meet those elite dudes, and well, don't get too attached. We learn that they've been sent to take down Sojo, and Chihiro's just like, I'm down, but they're just like, nah, you're still fucked up from that lightning attack. But then they're like, you can save the girl, and Chihiro's just like, I'm down. Chapter 12, everyone makes their move, and Chihiro adds like 3 new bodies to his roster, and the elites begin their face-off with Sojo. Chapter 13, we see the plan Chihiro and the elites form before they made their moves, which basically allows them to create an opening so they can swiftly take down Sojo, and Chihiro adds another 4 bodies, and yes, I'm assuming he kills the guy who gave them the information. As the chapter ends, we see Kunishigi talking about how the blade's limitations can be transformed based on the holder, and then we see Sojo on Chihiro's face, meaning something's about to happen. Chapter 14 is Chihiro's chapter, and we see him talking about the power beyond, the true realm of the enchanted blades, and then we cut back to the present and see Chihiro gets his ass whooped by some guards because despite getting those previous kills, his body is still fucked up. Anyways, he got his ass whooped so much so that he has to run and hide, and retreated to a flashback on how Chihiro is talking to his pops and says how he doesn't think he could be like his dad. And his dad is just like, you shouldn't be. Be yourself. Don't stress yourself out trying to be me. Be Chihiro. Become flexible. And that gives Chihiro his second win. Chapter 15 gives us Char's backstory and how her mother sacrificed herself so Char can live a normal and happy life. It also continues Chihiro's momentum by him cutting one dude in half and beheading 4 others, and continuing beheading another 4 guys and takes one out that was on the roof. We don't see these 2 guys right here who saw the guy from the roof fall, but Chihiro is right behind them looking like a demon, so it's safe to say he added them to them count. Then 2 clowns come in just like, yeah, we ready to fuck shit up, and then get swiftly decapitated. But we actually learn that Chihiro is able to do all this because of a new technique where Kuro spawned like 20 black goldfish to release tight rapid slashes that are not as strong as a regular Kuro, but also doesn't put a toll on Chihiro's hurt body. And actually due to his hurt body, he created that technique on instinct, causing his understanding to speed up. Possible hint to that power beyond. In the chapter, we see Chihiro reunite with Char and give her a literal emotional sandwich. Chapter 16, we learn that Char actually has the ability to heal others and doesn't completely restore Chihiro, but at least heals his hand, so he just hands Char off to Shiba. As Sojo approaches, but wait, wasn't the elite group handling him? Well, yeah, that's why I said not to get too attached to them. Because just as they secured Cloud Gouger, Chihiro wasn't the only one who powered up. Sojo grew so linked to Cloud Gouger after his fight with Chihiro, he can now use Mei without having to even touch Cloud Gouger. And from that, he takes the upper hand against the elite squad, eliminating half of them. Chapter 17 is the fight between Sojo and Chihiro, but wait, they're having tea. You see, buddy, that is a metaphor of how this fight is actually them exchanging words. Sojo even says in chapter 15, and I quote, "Yes, there is much we have to talk about, but what we need now is in words, it seems." And during those exchange of words, they discuss the beliefs of Kunishigi, which I would actually like to discuss more about those ideas later. But anyways, it's a swift battle that ends in Chihiro getting the upper hand and winning the speedy duel. But Sojo isn't dead yet. Yep, chapter 18, we see Sojo is still alive with enough strength to crawl up to the place that has the Datensky. I messed that up bad. The Datensky. Did I mess that up again? The Datensky, because Chihiro was just like, yeah, Cloud Gouger chose you, bro. And so he has a bright idea to grab it. But Chihiro was like, but you're not like my dad. So Sojo just explodes, but I'm still counting that one for Chihiro because he was just the one who put Sojo in that state. And in this chapter, we meet the Kamunabi Council, who basically make it their mission to retrieve Cloud Gouger and Enten, so they call up this really strong fighter, Hiyuki, who we will meet next arc. So there we have it, the Versus Sojo arc, or as I like to call it, the Cloud Gouger arc. And we ended off with 89 kills, and man, that is a lot of bodies. And that's actually why I wanted to make this. No, not because of the number of kills, but because of I wonder where the story might lead us with these bodies Chihiro racks up. Sojo's whole idea he got from his understanding of Kunishigi was that these blades were meant to be weapons of mass destruction. And shit, man, is he wrong? Because look at Chihiro's body count. Kunishigi made these weapons to end the war. And yeah, okay, sure, Sojo was wrong because he tried to kill innocent people. But what Sojo got from Kunishigi was go slaughter indiscriminately. Sojo didn't want to kill innocent people because they were innocent people. He killed people because he could kill anybody he wanted to. Kunishigi says there's still tools for killing people. These aren't necessarily the right answer. You're going to have to look at the world through your own eyes. I believe Sojo and Chihiro both see these enchanted blades as the right answer still. And the story is still going on, so I would think it would be nice to see where all these kills lead to Chihiro's development.